Hello, good morning, students of class 12th Commerce. Welcome to Pandasar's virtual class on macroeconomics, and today our topic of discussion will be aggregate demand. In fact, after a long pause that in last couple of classes we were discussing development economics, your second paper of class 12, and again we shifted to macroeconomics, the theory of big economics, and today we are going to start a new chapter, that is aggregate demand. And students, before starting it, let me remind you that this is technically a tough chapter. In fact, the next 3 or 4 chapters are technically and theoretically a little bit tough. That's why you put all your effort to understand, and wherever you are getting problem, instantly without any hesitation you call me or message me to find a solution. So aggregate demand, we'll start the discussion from its definition. What we mean by the phrase aggregate demand? In microeconomics we have already discussed a lot about demand. When we say demand, it is the demand of a single consumer or a single producer, but that is the part of a microeconomics. When we come to macroeconomics, that means when we are discussing demand in a larger context, and here the boundary is our entire economy, the area of coverage is our entire economy. So when we speak about aggregate demand, what we mean is that it is the total demand for what? Total demand for final goods and services that is produced in one accounting year by all the household and producing units and government. That depends upon the number of sector. If we are considering a 4-sector economy, then it comes to the people, that is individuals, then producers, then government, and then road, that is the rest of the world. However, by aggregate demand, we mean the totality of demand in an economy for final goods and services during one accounting year. That is called aggregate demand. So, we will discuss today 2 things, that is, what is the effect of aggregate demand, or how aggregate demand is related to 2 different concepts, that is the income level of the nation and the price level, general price level. Here we are not talking about the price of tomato or price of potato. In fact, we are talking here about the general price level that we have already discussed in class 11th in the chapter index number. What is change in general price level? Also, we in the distinction of macro and microeconomics, we have discussed that while microeconomics deal with the prices of theory of prices, that means prices of goods and services, how it is determined. But in macroeconomics, we will be discussing about the general price level. It is the price level theory what we discuss in aggregate demand or macroeconomics, and how price level, that is general price level, is related to aggregate demand. We can see here that in the diagram 1 that shows us the relationship between price level and aggregate demand, and because it is a downward sloping from left to right curve, we know the characteristic. It establishes negative relationship between both the variables that are represented in x and y axis. That is, in x axis we are representing aggregate demand, level of aggregate demand, and in y axis we are representing the general price level. So you can see when general price level is OP, the aggregate demand is OD, and our economy is operating at the middle point. When the price level, general price level, increased from OP to OP2, then what happens? The aggregate demand reduced from OD to OD2, and now the economy is operating at this point. On the other hand, if the general prices falls from OP to OP1, then of course the level of aggregate demand rises from OD to OD1, and now the economy is operating at point this. So a downward sloping right to left curve shows us negative relationship between price level and aggregate demand. When prices in the economy as a whole increases, then obviously the level of demand falls. This is the relationship between general price level and aggregate demand. Now come to the next. What is the relationship between aggregate demand and income level? When the income level of a nation or of an economy rises, then how it affects the level of aggregate demand? When the general income level of an economy falls, how it does affect the level of aggregate demand? It is evident from the second diagram. What I am pointing now, what we can see, the demand curve here is a upward sloping from left to right. And the shape suggests that it establishes positive relationship between the variables that are represented along y-axis and x-axis. That is, along x we are representing aggregate demand, along y we are representing the general income level of the economy. And you can see in the diagram very well, when the general income level is OI, the aggregate demand is OD. And when the general income level rises from OI to OI2, then obviously income rise, that means aggregate demand also rise from OD to OD2, and the economy is now operating at this point. On the other hand, when the general income level falls from OI to OI1, the aggregate demand level falls from OD to OD1. And now the economy is operating at this point. Thus, we establish a positive relationship between level of aggregate demand and the general level of income that prevails in an economy. This is positive relationship. So to conclude, price level and aggregate demand negatively related to each other, and income level and aggregate demand are positively related to each other. So after this discussion, let us shift our discussion to components of aggregate demand. What do we mean by component? For example, what are the components of sarbat? Nimbu, shakkar, pani. The things that are added to make sarbat are called its component. The same way, what are added to find or to calculate or to know about the level of aggregate demand in an economy? That way, the components are, the four components are there, and one by one we will discuss in detail about the components of aggregate demand. The first being private consumption expenditure. In short, we represent it with the letter C, capital C. That represents private consumption expenditure. And what exactly we mean by private consumption expenditure? The household sector spend their income in the purchase of various durable, semi-durable and perishable goods during the whole year, during the entire accounting year. So, the expenditure done by household sector on the purchase of different goods and services during an accounting year is called private consumption expenditure, or in short, capital C. And what are the factors that affects the level of private consumption expenditure? It is the level of income. When level of income goes up, obviously people spend more, and the private consumption expenditure C becomes more. On the other hand, when the level of income falls, people spend less, and the private consumption expenditure C falls. Next point, the next component is investment expenditure. When household consume, investors or producers produce, and to produce a goods and services, the producer needs to spend on the purchase of different machinery and capital goods. So, what the producers spend to purchase different machinery and capital goods are called investment expenditure, and in short we represent it with the letter capital I. I stands for investment expenditure. That means the producer, how much the producer spends in the purchase of capital goods and machinery is called investment expenditure. And what is the factor, what are the factors that affects the level of investment expenditure is rate of interest that prevails in the economy, and that rate of interest that prevails in the economy means in order to purchase capital goods and machinery, the producer need to take loan from bank. And rate of interest means what is the interest that the producer is to pay to the bank is called rate of interest. That means more is the rate of interest, the producer will be discouraged to purchase more or take more loan, and as a result the level of investment expenditure will fall. On the other hand, when the rate of interest is low, the producer would be tempted to invest more, and hence he will take more loan and the level of investment expenditure will be more. Thus we find a positive relationship between rate of interest and the aggregate investment expenditure. The other factor that affects the level of investment expenditure is MEI. It's a technical term, just try to understand. MEI stands for marginal efficiency of investment. Later in the next chapter, we will be having a clear and detailed discussion about MEI. But for the time being, I am giving you a brief information about what is marginal efficiency of investment. You know, marginal means one more. So, marginal efficiency of investment or MEI means what the producer is expecting to in return when he invests 1 rupee more. Means producer is investing suppose 100 rupees. So if he invests 1 rupees more, what his expectation about the return is called marginal efficiency of investment. So higher is the, for example, suppose out of 1 rupee investment the producer is expecting that he will get a return of 1 rupee, and in the other case suppose out of 1 rupee investment the producer is expecting a return of 5 rupees. Then obviously we can say that in the second case the marginal efficiency of investment is more. So more is the marginal efficiency of investment, more will be the producer tempted to invest more. Thus what we find is that there is a positive relationship between marginal efficiency of investment and the investment expenditure done by producers. This is the second point. Now come to the third point. It's government's expenditure. And in what are the areas where government spend its money? These are when governments purchase in domestic country, domestic territory, one component. Second, when governments purchase in raw sector or from other countries, 2 components. And the third one is COE, stands for compensation of employees. That what amount of money government pays to its stock of entire employee stock. So we find 3 components in government expenditure, which is represented with the letter capital G. G stands for government expenditure, and here comes expenditure done by government in the domestic territory, expenditure done by government in the rest of the world, and the payment of COE, that is compensation of employees. That is COE and direct payment in domestic market and direct payment in foreign market. These 3 components added makes the government expenditure. And the fourth one is net export. When we say about net export, export means what foreigners buy from us, and import means what Indians buy from foreigners. So how to find the amount of net export? When we deduct the amount of import from the amount of export. Thus net export is represented with the letter X minus M. That is, X stands for export and M stands for import. export minus import equal to net export. And what is the factor that affects net export? That is rate of exchange. What rate of exchange means? For how many, for $1, how many rupees we have to pay? For $1, for £1, how many rupees we have to pay? That is called exchange rate. And the net export, volume of net export is affected by the rate of exchange. I forgot to mention one thing, government expenditure. Government expenditure we have discussed already, and the factor that affects government expenditure is government's policy. When governments make favorable policy for some expenditure, then that on that heading expenditure rises. So, to conclude, what we find at last is that the aggregate demand, that is your total demand for final goods produced in one accounting year in an economy, is nothing but the sum of C, that is consumption expenditure, I, that is investment expenditure, G, that is government expenditure, and X minus M, that is net export. So aggregate income, aggregate demand is C plus I plus G plus X minus M. And this is the scenario, this is the story in a 4-sector economy. But when we come to a 2-sector economy, aggregate demand is nothing but the sum of two things, that is consumption expenditure by households and investment expenditure by producers. That is aggregate demand equal to C plus I. So this is the story about aggregate demand. This is quite technical in nature. Hence, I repeatedly request all the students to read before look at my video, and at any stage you are getting problem, please consult me. Thank you and have a nice day.